Thank you for staying with us. The government is scheduled to allocate 700 million shillings this financial year to the bus rapid transport BRT system that was conceptualized back in 2015. Budget estimates seen by KTN News indicate that the state hopes to jumpstart the stalled urban city transport system improvement with works already beginning along the Thika Super Highway. KTN's Otieno reports on a quest which now in its fourth year has yet to realize any meaningful progress on the road.
With Nairobi's rapidly growing metropolis, the government in 2015 saw it fit to come up with an urban transport system plan to help ease congestion on the capital city's roads. But 6 years after that idea was born, little progress has been made on the ground. Yet the government continues to pump millions of shillings towards the rapid transit system, set to be piloted in Nairobi. Budget estimates seen by KTN News show that the state intends to inject 700 million shillings to the bus rapid transit system during next month's budget reading. The allocation is set to rise to 2 billion shillings in the financial year 2022-2023 and eventually to 2.1 billion shillings the following year. Already, works by the Nairobi Metropolitan Area Transport Authority has begun along the Thika Super Highway, which is set to pilot phase 1 of the project, which will see a direct line from Ruiru town to the Kenyatta National Hospital area.
The problems come about when we don't integrate other ongoing projects into the BRT, because we already have these corridors gazetted, but we are seeing, for instance, the Nairobi Expressway coming up. And it's not clear to us, how will Line 1 be integrated into this? We are seeing grade separation happening at T-Mall. Yeah? How is the BRT that's supposed to pass through that corridor?
We do the indicators, we do targets.
These are the questions which Professor Washington Ochieng may have answers to. The civil engineer who resides in the United Kingdom has been credited for conceptualizing the transport operation system currently being used in London. He believes the key to unlocking Nairobi's notorious gridlock is reducing intake of both public and private vehicles into the central business district.
I would extend the idea of private cars going into parking zones outside the city. I would extend it to that, in the sense that, but what I'm saying is, with a private car, the conveniences that people perceive to be associated with the private car would have to be addressed by the public transport, shuttle-based concept.
The shuttle-based concept is what Kenya's Transport Ministry had promised to start, with a pledge to buy buses from Spain and South Africa to kickstart the initiative. But that plan was quickly abandoned. Chairperson of the Matatu Owners Association, Simon Kimutai, who for 2 years sat on the task force for implementation of the rapid transit system, was then among the project's biggest opponents.
Initially, it was putting a cart before a horse, and I kept mentioning it in the task force, that what needs to happen is that let's have the infrastructure, let's understand, let's involve and campaign to those who have already invested in public transport, involve them, let them understand what it's all about. And that buying buses, imagine if the buses were bought 3 years ago, they would still be in parking positions.
It is very important that we understand that BRT is not just buses. It's very important. We understand that it is a fully integrated system that has to function. Okay, from ticketing to stations to routing to vehicle ownership models.
For all of this to work, there has to be an owner. Somebody has to have ownership of the beast, as it were, of the system. Somebody has to have ownership. And I think it would be interesting in the Kenyan context and the Nairobi context who that particular person or that particular entity actually is.
Efforts by KTN News to get the Nairobi Metropolitan Area Transport Authority to comment on the issue bore no fruit. But the work continues along Kenya's largest highway, even as the government strides to make the pipe dream more of a reality for the city's residents. Otieno, KTN News.
Great, and now I want us to have a conversation on political happenings this past week. We are supposed to